What's your opinion on the current political climate in the U.S.?
It's a little sloppy, to be honest. I feel like things can be carried out in a more adult-like manner.
I do think that some situations can get more heated than necessary.
A little bit childish and just kind of feels like just watching a football match.
I don't think we're going in the right direction, and I don't know where even to start to go in that right direction.
The parties, they have like some overlap, but even in the overlap that they do agree on, they like to fight about. It's kind of insane.
I feel like there are some topics that they could more or less agree on, and then other topics that it's understandable why they can't.
The fact that we let such little differences get between us and cause such big problems really upsets me.
No parties want to come together and really cooperate on anything.
No one's really that informed on what's going on. People are mostly just sticking with Democrats or just sticking with Republicans because that's who they're raised and not making their own opinions.
Do you feel there's a disconnect between people and the politicians?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Why?
They represent a portion of the population, but they're not really representative of them.
I feel like some politicians think that they're all maybe a bit high and mighty just because of the fact that they are politicians, so they don't really make an attempt to relate to the people that they represent.
I mean, kind of, yeah, because it's like, how can you relate to like citizens if you don't come from the same background, you know?
There's a problem with career politicians and people that don't actually care about what they say they care about, and all they care about is getting paid and being reelected.
I think that everything they do is based on money and getting reelected. They get voted in, and then the first thing they worry about is getting voted in again, and that's not really what they should be worrying about.
People they represent is just the larger body of people, so sometimes it's hard to touch on all those points.
There's just a whole lot of just corruption going on, and yeah, people just representing big companies instead of the people themselves.
I don't think there's a disconnect. I just think that there's more of a very radical representation going on. I don't think that many people can relate to certain politicians. You know, it's like with the previous election, it was very, you know, polar opposites with the two candidates.
The voter turnout in Lee County was an abysmal 14% last election, whereas during the presidential election, it was a 78.5%. What are your thoughts on this? Why aren't people voting?
I feel like people are just afraid that their vote doesn't really make a difference and that their say doesn't really go towards anything. And also the fact that it's a smaller scale election and people don't really, it's the president we're voting for, not a mayor or whatever else.
Something like the presidential election was just so controversial that people were just like, we have to vote.
I feel like a lot of people just don't look into local government that much.
I guess people aren't voting because they don't feel represented, at least in my opinion. Like, I voted this past election. It was my first time voting, but I still didn't feel represented either for a candidate.
What do you think of when you hear the word politicians?
It makes me want to go grab my papers.
90% of politicians are white male people who are trying to do it for the money.
Think of somebody who advocates for either the Democratic side or the Republican side.
I would like to think it's someone that's gonna do better for our country, but I feel like I'm biased, so I would feel like corrupt would be my first thought.
Like a businessman. That's kind of what the first thought that comes to mind.
Scumbag, spiky hair, nice cars.
I think someone in a suit that's trying to help people, but it's just kind of hard with the political climate right now.
Sometimes it makes me think about someone who wants to do good, but also it makes me think about like someone who's just going to like benefit themselves.
If you had the opportunity to talk to a politician, what would you say to them? What would you ask of them? What do you believe needs to be done? What do they need to hear?
So I would definitely probably mention something about having to do with women in the workplace and getting the respect that they deserve.
I'd ask them why they wanted to be a politician in the first place, and then ask them if those goals are the same goals as today.
I guess make what they're trying to represent more relatable to a wider audience.
I would definitely tell them, what are you doing to help us citizens? Because they're getting paid whether or not they do a good job, but it's what they do that will affect us.
I think lately we've been focusing on like who the politicians are, especially their most like controversial aspects. We need to know more about what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. We need to concentrate on the person and what they've done instead of what they're trying to do. But at the same time, I just wish they kind of would change their focus a little bit.
So how would you feel like a politician came to campus and was like talking to people right here, hearing their opinions? What would you? How would you feel about that?
I'd actually be really interested just to see what they would say, you know. It's always cool to see that kind of like interaction with people, you know, that personal connection that you can make with somebody. It's kind of hard when they're just talking at a bunch of people on TV or something, so.
You think it'd be awesome?
Yeah, I think it would honestly be really cool.
Well, cool, because we have Todd here, and he's
Hi,
Oh.
I'm Todd Truax.
Hi.
Awesome. So here we have Todd.
Hi,
Hi,
I'm Todd Truax. I'm running for Congress for U.S. House of Representatives
awesome.
for the district. And so I agree with you.
So here we have Todd Truax
Hi.
running for
Hi.
Congress.
I'm Todd.
Nice to meet you.
I'm
Running
Todd
for-
Truax. I'm running for Congress.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Hi. I'm Todd Truax.
Hey.
I'm running for U.S. House of Representatives.
Todd Truax.
That's a great lead. I'm Todd Truax. Hi. I'm Todd.
Nice to meet you.
I'm running for Congress.
Oh, of course.
So yeah, I agree with you that it does seem like folks are running
Yeah.
for themselves. I share the beliefs that you do.
Okay.
That they're spending a lot of time bickering and they're stuck in their silos. And,
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm glad you did vote at your first time.
Yeah.
And I hope you continue to vote.
I will.
And so I want to thank you for coming out and sharing your opinions. And no, I don't want to ask for your papers. I've been an independent for 30 years, so I agree the parties fight too much, and at times I don't want to be associated with any of them. But I had to pick a side, and I picked the Democrats because I feel they support healthcare and equality for women and for all races, and so I wanted to find out. I'm glad you feel the same way.
Yeah.
That I was at the school board meeting last night, as a matter of fact, about the public schools, and I'm a social worker and a nursing home administrator, so I've been in this district for 20 years taking care of people, and so I've given blood, gallons of blood, and I've cleaned up the rivers and streams, and I've done all those things just for fun on the side. And this is a whole new thing for me to try and run, and so I'm glad that you shared what you feel about politicians and how it's like a football game, and they're at against each other. The cuts to the Affordable Care Act and Medicare and Medicaid make me want to be a part of the solution and not a part of the bickering that's going on.
What you were mentioning earlier, that like that, for example, that affects me. DACA, for example, that personally does not affect me, but it affects a lot of my family members. So.
Mine too. And Shirley from California married a guy named Pablo, and he had a bunch of kids from Mexico. And so I'm concerned about my family, that Lupita and Armando and Gerardo, that are now part of my
Literally
family.
my family's name.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so it matters to me about how people are treated, and they need to be treated fairly. And I believe this whole, we'll see what we'll do in 10 or 12 years, just really puts people on they've already waited that many years or more. And so this path to citizenship, I'd like to make a shorter path and make it more permanent. You're right, there's been a lot of bickering, and then folks are stuck in their silos.
It just seems like it's very impersonal nowadays, you know what I mean? So I think that's really cool that you're actually here. But it's very impersonal, I feel like, you don't get to really know, who's running and who's locally involved and stuff, so.
That's great.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
No,
I'm glad I got to meet you.
Thank you.
It was important for me to hear what you thought about the current state of affairs, and I agree with you. So I'm glad. Thanks for sharing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very nice to meet you.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing how you feel about that. So
That's awesome.
thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So thank you. I appreciate you sharing.
No, I appreciate you being here. That's really cool, actually. Okay.
So what did you learn from this experience?
I think it was good for me to meet with some of the students and find out their opinions on politics, politicians, issues that are important to them, and issues that aren't important to them. And it was important to hear how they see the bickering going on in politics, and how removed they see politicians being from their issues. And it was nice to see their surprise too. When they got to meet somebody that's running for office and interested in what they have to say. Visit my website at James-Truax.ruckus You can just Google my name, Todd James Truax, and visit the website and see how I feel about any other issues.